Hi, I'm Roxana Erickson. I'm the seventh of 8 children of Milton and Elizabeth Erickson. And I guess in many ways I had a very unusual childhood, although it seemed very normal to me. I didn't know that my father was an exceptional person or an exceptional contributor to the knowledge about hypnosis until many years later. But he raised, or my parents raised our family with really solid values of learning, valuing education, and learning from all the circumstances around us. And our circumstance was enriched by the presence of students and professionals that came from around the world on a daily basis. And this was even more enhanced because the office was in the home, the waiting room was our living room, and he kind of had an open door policy with his students. When he had students or colleagues visiting, he rarely had the office door closed, and he would encourage us children to listen in or participate in respectful ways to intellectual conversation that was taking place. I didn't realize until I was in my early teens how unusual this professional opportunity was. And even when I recognized it, I guess I still didn't appreciate the value of it for many years to come. But the reality was that on a day-to-day basis, every day, morning till night, we kids woke up in a very rich environment with an appreciation for the different types of people that would come into our home, into our lives, for the deep reflective questioning that people would have about themselves, about the world around us, about how learning and change and growth, healing, all take place. And as the people came from around the world to study with my dad, yes, they were there to study with him, but because of the open door and the encouragement that he gave us to visit with them in the living room as they waited, we really felt like we were participating in the learning opportunity, in the development of ideas, in the expansion of knowledge. He also liked to use us as hypnosis subject. So he really made a very significant contribution to the understanding of what is hypnosis and how to practice it. And one of the horizons that he expanded upon was that he would practice with family members. He'd get a new idea and begin to wonder if he could follow up with that or what it would look like, or just deep trance or the confusion induction or something like that. And he would invite family members, would you like to practice? Would you like to learn this? And we always knew we had the opportunity to say, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not interested, or yes, I'm interested, but I'm going to a dance tonight, or my friends called me up, I'd rather do that. So he gave us perfectly clear, fair opportunity to participate or not participate. And that freedom to join in or to take a break or to not get interested at all was totally, entirely up to us as children, as growing adults. And even today, in my practice, when I work with people, one of the things that I really emphasize is that I offer an opportunity to learn. I offer to share my knowledge with you. And you are free to come and go. You are free to learn what you select as important in your life, or free to choose and what you can use and go off in your own direction and go beyond. And one of the things that we have found as a family most exciting is that every person has different interests. And so some people will be interested in culture and geography or mathematics or something totally different, animals or plants or word usage. And each one of us has learned to appreciate each other and those around us and the world around us. The constancy was that we were really encouraged to be curious about the world, to engage in the world, to be participatory, to learn through experience, and then to bring that information that we've harvested back to those around us and to share the information. All of us strongly believe that together we can go much further than any individual path. So we were raised with a really cooperative enthusiasm about gathering knowledge, exploring, expanding in every direction. And that's what I hope to bring in my teaching here. That's what the joy of life is for me. So as a child, I learned about hypnosis because that's what all these people came from around the world to study with my dad. And I would learn initially from the patients. I would learn also from the colleagues that would sit in the waiting room waiting for Dad to get ready for the sessions with them. I would listen by sitting in the back of the room or by going to professional meetings. And I was curious about what is hypnosis, and thought of it really as a altered way of thinking that was kind of hard to understand and not certain where it fit into my life. I was puzzled by the deep intellectual curiosity that so many very wise people had and would come from so far away to study with him. That was a curiosity, a fascination. I was also aware that many people considered it to be extremely powerful, but as a child, my context of what is powerful, what creates powerful healing, I didn't have any context. And so it really took until I went to nursing school and began to work with patients in the field that I realized, oh, this is what I learned in school. This is the way, the professional standards for helping people heal. And this is another layer of information and skill that I've learned from the home front. And so as I began as a professional, it brought me to a much deeper understanding of the potential of hypnosis. And I think it was, even looking back as a child when I set my goals, what do I want to do with hypnosis? What's the value of it? Why would I bother studying it or practicing or put in the time? I was curious and applied it to memory, towards remembering special events, to helping me with my studies. And most importantly, I wanted to have natural childbirth from the time I was very young. I wanted to be fully alert and awake during the birth of my children, which for some reason, from the time I was a very small girl, I knew that I wanted 5 children. And I was lucky enough to grow up and actually have 5 babies. And I was also lucky enough that circumstances came together and I was able to have 5 natural births, which were really a good, pleasant experience for me. But my sights back in childhood were really pretty limited. And as I grew as a professional in the health profession, helping people to heal from sometimes very catastrophic injuries or illnesses, helping people to adjust to chronic injuries or chronic illnesses, I began to really appreciate the depth of what I already knew about hypnosis, had gathered in those many, many years of just hanging out with my dad. And I was able to kind of tease out, this is hypnotic suggestion, this is learning to use those hypnotic skills of focusing and redirecting one's attention and energy in positive ways. And became aware of how significant its impact has had on my growth as an individual and my whole optimistic philosophy in life, my cooperative orientation to working together with others. All of that came through my father's influence, through my father's teaching, through hypnosis, what I learned from practicing, from observing others, and from carrying that information forward. And today, as a professional, I have moved not away from clinical work, because clinical work is still truly my first love, helping people overcome problems that interfere with quality of life. That is my first priority, my first joy, what I really enjoy doing more than anything else. But I have moved to also embracing teaching a lot more. And I have teaching groups here in Dallas on a regular basis where I work with the local professionals who are interested in hypnosis. And it's a real pleasure to observe that what I gathered as a child, what I learned in really a almost random, scattered, day-to-day, just living life way, that I've been able to put together in more organized, systematic teaching programs that I can help those health professionals here to learn, to expand in their own ways, and to help a broader group of people than I will ever touch in my own lifetime. So as I have continued to grow as a professional through that first really discovery phase, then into the direct clinical phase, onto the balance of clinical and teaching, I'm now just beginning to put more emphasis on doing group work. This is a way that I can reach out to lay professionals, to people who aren't in the health profession, but teach them skills that they can then enhance their own lives, and through the positive changes that are made in their own lives, reach out to others in a really more discreet way, almost the way that I was raised. And so they may not ever reach a point of feeling like, well, I'm competent or trained appropriately to teach hypnosis, but they can be emissaries to say, I took a class in hypnosis, or I took a series of classes, or just sat in on a group sessions in hypnosis, and it was a good experience, and it helped me on a personal level in many ways. that becomes a outreach, an emissary program by which the larger community can begin to benefit. And so I'm just now in the stage of beginning to really develop this, and I'm really quite excited about it. And that's also one of the things that I want to bring forward in my international teaching, is to work with a select group of individuals, but simultaneously work with a larger group and reach out with the excitement, with the curiosity, with the experiential learning that we all benefit with and from. You know, simultaneously, together, each moving forward with our own personal needs and our own personal areas that we're interested in, but bringing it together and reaching out together. There's a lot of pleasure in that process.